What's up, everybody? March 28th edition of the Fightful MMA podcast. It is 3:04, apparently Elias Standard Time here in Ontario, Canada, Eastern end of the North American spectrum here. Joe Ferraro here. You can follow me online at Showdown Joe. Follow at Fightful MMA, FightfulMMA.com for all your mixed martial arts news. And of course, my guest on Tuesdays, Elias Theodorou. Follow him online at Elias Theodorou and his glorious hashtag main event hair. And I think he's back with the shark from a couple of weeks ago. Elias, what's up?
You said it. The hair, the shark, everything's all good.
Beautiful. Lots to discuss in the world of mixed martial arts. But before we do that, the question I always ask is, because you are in a different environment pretty much every week since the last time you and I spoke or you were a guest on the podcast, did you travel anywhere? Did you do anything specific?
Had a bunch of running around, but nowhere outside of the general Toronto area. I will be in Montreal again. Stitches are out. Everything's pretty again. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the training because someone might have a fight soon.
Oh, do you want to share some news with us or not yet?
Well, as the Rolling Stones said, you don't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. And I wanted Rashad, but it looks like Brad Tavares is a more than game, and I'm looking forward to giving him another loss.
I saw Brad Tavares basically put a bet up on social media saying he said, you're looking for a fight. He's down, but he wants to have a bet where if he loses, he'll put you up in Vegas for a week. And if you lose, you got to cut your hair or shave your head.
Yeah, well, my hair is worth more than a stay in Vegas. So he's going to have to up his side of the bargain for me to bite on that in any shape or form. Basically his whole purse. But anyways, I digress. The point being, he's a tough game guy, and even though I joke around that he's had 3 knockout losses, he lost to three very powerful people in Yoel Romero and who was the other person? Brunson, maybe? No, it wasn't Brunson. It was what's his name? The Viking. Tim Boesch and someone else. Anyways, yeah, he's been knocked out by Tim Boesch. Decision to Yoel Romero, and then has another 2 knockout losses. Whitaker knocked him out as well. Obviously, I'm not the same knockout artist as those individuals, but it's shown that he has crumbled in the past. And the wins that he does have, a split decision over KO, whatever his name is, Hellboy, and then a decision win over Nate Marquardt, which is impressive, but I'm not impressed with his performance. I think I can outwork him. I think I can pace him, and I think I can beat him pretty handedly.
I saw Frank Trigg retweet it, which kind of made me laugh. Frank Trigg makes me laugh, which he does anyways, but obviously he's friends with Brad. He's known Brad for a very long time. They've actually trained together, to my understanding, but obviously Frank works alongside yours truly. We share the same podcast on Thursdays. I should be retweeting whatever you do. So I think Frank and I should somehow, some way, if that fight does take place, should somehow get down to wherever the fight will take place and sort of virtually be in your corner. I would never take up a corner spot from one of your cornermen. But I'm thinking some way, somehow, Fightful MMA should send us down to cover this fight potentially and see what goes down. In terms of Brad, though, because he's a blue-collar fighter. I've always been a fan. He's a tough guy. But in terms of matchups, especially with your, I guess people will call it unorthodox style. You kind of gave us a little synopsis of how you think, you're not impressed with his performance, but it's a joke, blah, blah. But how do you think you stack up against Brad? Because he's a pretty good name. He's not Rashad Evans, like you said. Let's be honest. He's not Rashad Evans, who you wanted. You and I talked about Vitor Belfort as well. But Brad Tavares does have a name.
Belfort did ask for me, but it's neither here nor there.
He did, eh?
Yeah, but I don't think it's a timing issue. What's it called? He would need more time because he just got knocked out.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. Whereas yours truly wants to fight, and what's called, I got a schedule to do. But it looks like either CM Punk or myself, Vitor is up for it.
What do you think of him calling out CM Punk? Obviously, it's not good, but come on.
It is what it is. That's what I'll say. I think No, Vitor would be a great opponent too. Obviously, he's got that 30 seconds to a minute. Danger, danger, danger. And then the 50-year-old surfer falls apart. But with that being said, I think Brad is a very tough individual, a very game fighter, like you said. He comes from that kickboxing background. He's going to push forward. He's going to try and chip me away. I think in regards to striking, I think he has a more orthodox version of my striking. He throws a lot of kicks. He punches as well. The last fight was in September against Hellboy. I think the reason why he got off a lot of the strikes that he did was because Hellboy is, for lack of a better word, a midget. So he was just able to basically hit him with medium range punches and whatnot. So I think there's a lot of aspect of where if Bradley is expecting you take a couple shots, I take a couple shots, that's not going to happen. And I think I can frustrate him because if I don't know what I'm going to do, how's he going to know what I'm going to do? And I think I'm just better than him. He has decent defensive wrestling. I'll definitely give him that. At the same time, I think a lot of his cage control and stuff like that with Hellboy was rudimentary at best. I think there are a lot of holes in his game that I can take advantage of. I wouldn't say cardio would be an issue. He pushes forward, especially for a middleweight. He's got a gas tank for days, and he's a tough SOB. He has that very good kickboxing base, but I think in many ways I can make him a fish out of water.
I agree. He's got a very good kickboxing base with Ray Sefo as well. So
that's who was up.
Yeah, it's a fight I like. I think it's a great matchup. I'd love to see it go down, depending on where it is. Hopefully within driving distance. But I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, if it's in Vegas, it might be a bit of a challenge. What won't be a challenge, ladies and gentlemen, if you are tuned in live right now.
Fightful. They got to send you out there.
Hopefully, we'll see. For those tuning in live right now on the YouTube channel, we do have the live chat there. It should be on the top right of your screen. If you have any questions for yours truly or for Elias Theodorou, please, by all means, any questions or comments, post them up there. I figured out how to use it while I do the podcast live, so it'll be on the right-hand side of my screen if I see anything pop up. And if it's, I'll simply say if it's worthy, because some of you guys are nuts, crazy, funny, but yeah, there could be kids watching this later on for my sake, not for Elias's or Pearson's or Triggs. But yeah, we'll see what's up with that. If you have any questions, comments, by all means, type them up there in the live chat. We will try to get to them throughout the podcast. Earlier on, or I don't know if it's still going on, to be honest with you, but the Bellator NYC press conference went down. Wanderlei Silva, quote unquote, was a no-show, but eventually, Elias, they found that there was a feed, a video feed that he took part in to basically talk about the actual show or his portion of the main event. Now, this is something that you and I had discussed last week, and I discussed it with everyone, putting Wanderlei Silva in a main event slot for Bellator. Now, with him, quote unquote, no-showing this pre-fight press conference, do you think A, was strategic because he didn't want to be in the same room with Chael Sonnen and he's trying to just stick it to Chael Sonnen, or B, does Bellator, are they thinking twice, like, oh my God, he's already doing this? Is this guy going to actually show up on fight night?
Well, it depends if they planned this. If not, then they're definitely doing the latter. I think with two people that, one, no slight to Chael rather, but let's call a spade. He is prime, far removed from, well, not far enough from his performance against Tito, against someone who hasn't fought in 4 years, who is a little bit of a head case. No disrespect. We all saw those YouTube videos. I don't know why you be the judge. And again, if it wasn't the purpose, the actual Bellator brass of putting it together the way it was, then they do have an issue. This is, again, their attempt at trying to do pay-per-views, and if one part of your pay-per-view doesn't show up, you're not fully promoting your pay. How much they expect Chael to hold the actual promo on his back, especially coming off of the fight that he did, and the fact that the co-main event fell apart before. So you have two people headed by two people that haven't either fought in 4 years or fought well in 4 years, on top of a group that tried this once before and somehow a heavyweight had kidney stones.
Gotcha. Nope, I gotcha. It's a challenge, and I've been trying to say it for a while. And you know, I'll never disrespect Vanderlei Silva only because he's done so much for me in the past. But there are concerns. I don't know what the strategy was behind this. Maybe for again, people. And by the way, Coke Stud says, "What up, guys? What's up, Coke Studs?" I'm not going to type, guys. I won't be able to type to you guys. I want to focus on the conversation with Elias. But what's up, Coke Studs? I'm not going to sit here. People will always accuse me of always giving too much of the benefit of the doubt when it comes to fighters. It's going to be something I always do. And I was thinking about it earlier today. People are always like, you know, and I've said it before on the show, you got to make noise. It goes back to my Jim Ross theory when Jim Ross and myself did the Battlegrounds show a while ago, the one night 8-man tournament, and you know, Jim Ross saying you need to make noise to make money in the sport, like Elias makes noise, and a lot of people, you know, you got to, you know, he says you got to put that cheese on your Whopper, and if you don't make noise, you're not going to make money. Don't let the fighting do just your talking. You need to talk a lot more, and you know, I should be one that potentially follows that analogy, but I'm not that type of guy, and there's a lot of fighters that aren't that type of person. I'm not here to rock the boat, and sometimes I'm accused of being politically correct. I don't feel like I need to make noise. Sometimes, you know, people want to talk trash. I want to be the voice of reason. You know, I give people the benefit of the doubt all the time, and maybe I'm giving Vanderlei the benefit of the doubt, Elias, where he didn't want to be in that room with Chael Sonnen to avoid a confrontation. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and you know, like you said, he's a bit of a, you know, he said head case, but it's a bit of a situation where he's just kind of like, nah, I don't want to show up.
Well, yeah, I'm going to backtrack a little bit on the head case things. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm going to say more of the idea that you never know which Vanderlei is going to show up. There you go. That's being a little bit more polite about it. We could talk about the YouTube videos. We can talk about the fact that he hasn't fought in a while. He's already pulled out of a fight with Mirko Krokop, but I give him 100%. You know, backing the reason why, because we know that he looked at Krokop and was like, I need to up my vitamin.
This whole Mexican supplement thing, I had no idea about it until you first brought it up to me, and I guess it was Joe Rogan who had mentioned it first. But yeah, it is a situation that this whole hashtag Mexican supplement things is just taking off. But yeah, you listen. Let's not kid ourselves, okay? Because you are not the first person. You are one of many and many pundits, fans, fighters, whomever you want to call, that has said that, you know, Vanderlei took one look at Krokop and said, But apparently he knew this fight was going to happen in September. I don't think he wanted it. I think he wanted Crazy Horse at the time, but that happened in September, and the fight with Krokop would have taken place in December. Maybe that's like you're saying that the mathematics weren't there to do it enough.
Definitely that. Also the fact that what do we call it? I think this is also another reason why Bellator should be a little bit nervous, because he may have known the whole time that he wasn't going to fight, in the sense of, I don't know, like, who knows? And here he's not even showing up at the event. Whether it's the fact that he doesn't want to be in the same room, or they didn't want him in the same room. I think there's a real cause for concern of putting together a Madison Square Garden fight, and it's being so dependent on being a success or not if you actually have a successful pay-per-view. And it's very hard to convince people to buy something that they've been doing for free. I don't understand the model of Bellator now trying to get in the pay-per-view game. I think they have a great opportunity with Viacom being the parent owner of it, and just being on TV and having 2 million people watch it every single time. 2.5 million people watched Royce Gracie versus Ken Shamrock 3.
Well, two things on that point there. Apparently,
3,000. Data 3,000.
Is it data 3,000 or data 5,000? Because now I'm screwed. Oh, 3 million people. I'm sorry. Okay.
Whatever. He downgraded when after that. Downgraded for sure. He only had, after the, no offense, not to be rude, but after 3 heart attacks, he bumped down a couple.
All right. Totally understand that.
2, 1.
Two points I want to ask you about what you just said. I'll go with the first one there. You don't understand about Bellator doing this pay-per-view model. Neither do I, but I do a bit. But now you have apparently the executives from Viacom and from Spike saying, "Yep, this is something technically new for us. We're going to be doing more of them." Now this is Latin for cash cow or cash money to be made. Because remember, they own Bellator, not Scott Coker. So this is another way for them to make money, and if it becomes something that's feasible, they won't do it every month, but they'll do it, I guess, fairly often. So I could, from a business perspective, if it's done successfully, I could definitely understand why they're doing it.
Keyword, if it's done successfully, this will be their second go at it, and we'll see how it goes. And hindsight's 20/20, but you already have the first attempt. Whether the glue holds for their second attempt in regards to the card, you have someone like the wild card, which is Vanderlei. You have someone who's been an issue before, which is Matt Mitrione. He's obviously been cleared, and I want to see him fight because I think he has huge opportunity to beat Fedor. Being such a big, athletic, heavyweight, it could be a real problem with Fedor, rather. Just look what happened with him, Fabiano, whatever his name is. That guy's a blown-up middleweight, and he took it to Fedor. So it's a huge opportunity for Matt Mitrione, and I hope the opportunity actually happens this time for him. This gives me no joy saying this. I'm just kind of being honest about my opinions. I don't want to see Vanderlei not make it to the end. I don't want to see Matt Mitrione have any issue. But this has been an issue before, and I'm just calling a spade a spade.
Absolutely. For those tuning in live right now, don't forget we do have the live chat. Feel free to send in your questions or comments to yours truly or Elias. Elias, the second point I wanted to make, you mentioned Cro Cop. Cro Cop threw off either a Facebook post or a tweet, something on social media, where he's asking, hey, for my goodbye fight, do you want to see me fight Fedor Emelianenko if Fedor is up to it? Sarcasm noted.
Sarcasm noted, but he also has this very big task in front of him called Matt Mitrione. I think he needs to beat him, or at least show up, unless he pulls a Vanderlei, and and then him and Matt Mitrione will be one apiece.
Correct. All right, gotcha. The other portion of that card that I'm enjoying, although I do find a bit peculiar, some people are saying no, it's the right thing to do. Lawrence Larkin signs with Bellator and gets an immediate title shot versus welterweight champion Douglas Lima. A, do you agree with the immediate title shot? And B, what a sick fight.
Sick fight. Pumped about it. I would even go as far to say that Bellator has a better welterweight division than the UFC does. And I think they've also added a huge component in regards to their 205 with Bader. Then you obviously have one like that. Those two divisions for me, obviously, for Bellator. So I'm happy to see it. He's a veteran. What's his name? Larkins is a veteran, and he's still so young. So he's been in there. He's had many fights. Maybe that was part of the that was obviously part of the negotiations. So, all the power to him. He has his opportunity. Let's see what happens.
And us Canadians
Hopefully
are like, wait a second. Well, no, it's on the paper. Yeah, it's on the pay-per-view. But all of us Canadians are like, wait a second. Rory McDonald. Well, Rory's fighting Semtex Daly. Pretty sure the winner of that fight is going to get the winner of Larkin and Lima. But Rory did need some time to heal up from his last fight and wasn't projected to fight until this. I mean, he wasn't projected to fight until this year. The news of him signing came last year, if I remember correctly. but he was never in line for that title shot just yet. And if he takes out Semtex, he has to get that title shot.
Yep, 100%. I think all roads lead to the title with those two either way.
Makes total sense. Speaking of titles, a former welterweight champion in the UFC, George St. Pierre, has apparently been given an ultimatum by Michael Bisping, who basically stated, you better set a date or you're going to lose this title shot versus you're going to lose this title shot to Yoel Romero instead. No. I respectfully disagree. Your thoughts?
Yeah, especially with all the hoops that WME just jumped. I definitely think there's a reason, and it might even be just Michael just blowing smoke, so it kind of like removes some of the criticism that he's gotten. And they've already let this out of the bag, so why would they put the genie? They can't let the genie out of the bottle. I think there are too many things that have already happened that can't unhappen, and I don't. It would be so silly. It would show complete lack of control of the situation.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what Bisping's doing. He's being smart, putting a bit of the pressure on George St. Pierre. Although I know it's only March, and I wish they would just do this. They would announce it, what day it's going to be. I mean, most of us already are thinking it's going to be International Fight Week. It's going to be in July, the first Saturday in July. So I wish they would just announce it. I'm sure there's some hoops that need to be jumped through for now, aka McGregor Mayweather potentially the month before. So there are some items. I know the dates have been requested. I don't know if it's June dates or July dates at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. And speaking of Vegas, I hope you're on that card. July. Yeah.
July 6th, 7th, 8th.
July 6th, 7th, 8th.
6th, 7th, 8th.
Well, yeah, it'd be nice if raise those eyebrows. I gotcha. I don't know why Michael's doing this. I kind of understand, but that title shot is not going to Yoel Romero no matter what. And why would he even want that title shot to go to Yoel Romero when the big payday is George St. Pierre, not Yoel?
Well, it's not going to happen, and he just says it. So, like, it shows him, like, I think it's all just smoke and mirrors in some regard. It's him putting it out there to be like, look, I want to fight Yoel, everyone. I want to fight Yoel. So I'm going to give George, this ultimatum, which will never happen. I want Yoel, guys. I want Yoel, but I'm going to fight GSP.
Valid point. I mentioned Mayweather. Mayweather was, I think it was Fight Hype. Mayweather basically made some comments thanking Dana White for what he said on Conan. Not really taking shots, maybe backhanded compliments towards McGregor in a video that was posted online. I think it was with Fight Hype. But he did say, don't listen to Dana White. It's whatever I say. It's not what Dana White says. Unfortunately, if you're a UFC fan or a Dana White fan or a McGregor fan, I hate to break it to you, Floyd's right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. Obviously, then there's these issues. If they're going to be doing it in a boxing fear, the Muhammad Ali Act comes. The contracts themselves. If you have a good enough lawyer, that's what we're talking about with George when he was doing that through that situation. There are ways around it. Who knows if they do it in a different country and because it's under different rules and regulations, they get it done, get a couple $100 million each, and they pay the $10 million fine to the UFC. Who the hell knows what they could do? I think there are potential options with this, but there's enough money to bring everyone to the table, I think.
Oh my God, the amount of money that's going to be generated from this is going to be absolutely ridiculous. I really hope it does take place. Although I did write a piece for Fightful MMA where I said this could be really bad news for the UFC if this fight takes place. Namely because you're going to lose Conor McGregor. Once he gets that Mayweather money, what's he going to do, take a massive pay cut and come back to the UFC? Or is he going to realize that's a one-off and then I'm going to go to the UFC and go back to making more money, but not nowhere near the Mayweather money? And then the UFC is going to be like, wait a second, if we're going to give Conor McGregor all these pay-per-view points, what are we doing with the co-main event and the rest of the card? What are we doing with Conor's opponent? Right?
Yep. You create this monster. How are you going to tame him? How are you gonna tame him?
Right? It's a slippery slope. I know WMI, IMG wants to get that money back, wants to make as much of those billions that they spent back as soon as possible. But this could be short term, a nice cash infusion, a big cash infusion, but long term, you might just lose the quote unquote biggest pay-per-view star that you have. I know George is coming back. John Jones is eventually coming back. But it's risky business, in my opinion.
You just make him bigger. Imagine if he knocks him out.
And if he knocks him out,
he knocks out Floyd.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even if he does knock him out, what's he going to do? Come back to the UFC? They're not going to pay him that kind of money.
No, they can't. Physically, they won't afford it.
So then mixed martial arts loses Conor McGregor to boxing, or does Conor McGregor realize
exactly? Yeah, who knows? Does he fight a bunch of boxers, and then because again he has more opportunity in regards to the Muhammad Ali Act as a boxer, in regards to perpetuity and his name recognition, blah 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 blah. I'm the guy that just beat Conor McGregor. Again, there's a lot of what ifs. We got to have the fight in the first place, but whew.
Lots to discuss, man. It's coming. I really think it's coming. Speaking of somebody on their way, Cyborg Santos has officially vacated her Invicta FC featherweight strap, which effectively makes Megan Anderson the undisputed champ in Invicta. Cyborg says she wants, obviously, Germaine Durandamy. Holly Holm, who just fought Germaine, was offered a fight, and her peeps are saying, we want a rematch with Geraldine. Can you believe in a division that only has 3 people, we already have some drama and some convoluted matchups and situations here?
It makes sense, though. So that fight was a close fight, and obviously the champ did run a foul. But at the same time, the ref didn't call it. I feel for Holly. Again, a true champion spirit, a true competitor, a very good ambassador for the sport. And if you compare it, no slight against them, to the individuals that she's competing on who have had what's called fouls in some regard, whether it's in the cage or out, you got to feel sorry for Holly. But at the same time, everyone wants to see Cyborg fight. Yeah, it's just one of those things where hate to be the one that has to make the decision, but understand either which way they go.
We've already gone through 1 week without a major event from the UFC. We're going to go a second week now without a major event from the UFC. We will not have a UFC event, a big one, for another 2 weeks. It's UFC 210 going down in Buffalo. But what we will have is Bellator 175 Rampage versus King Mo 2. This fight taking place at heavyweight. They are the main event. Sergey Karnatanov and Chase Gormley are the co-main event. This is a card that has 16 fights. 16 fights, and if you go up and down the card, I would say the vast majority of even hardcore fans may not know who any of these individuals are. I'm terrible at saying this, but other than the main event and perhaps the co-main event, are you watching this show?
Only if it's on Fox or what do you call it, Spike in for free. That's where something like this definitely derives. I still think it can get a couple million. I think it still can get 1 million people to watch it just because it's on TV.
It is a rematch. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. It wasn't the most entertaining fight that they're rematching. So.
And then King Mo says, "Hey, Rampage, I'm going to hump your leg for 5 rounds." Oh, what? You're not selling it, man.
Yeah. Again, this is an example of Bellator really relying on the name of the people that are fighting rather than what they're potentially going to do in there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I will do my best to endeavor to tune in to the actual show. But
will you?
No. I will. I'll try.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll
Honesty
try.
is the best policy, my
I'll
friend.
definitely try. If the Leafs are playing, I'm watching the Leafs. That's another story altogether because they're
Solid
playing.
maybe.
Yes,
So you're
solid.
saying there's a chance.
Solid maybe. Yes. We'll see what's up. Well, you know what fight I will watch? And I want to play off the Chael Sonnen versus Vanderlei Silva bad blood and how people like bad blood fights. They want to. They'll watch. They'll tune in.
Narrative for sure.
The narrative. There could be a narrative with Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate 3. Ronda Rousey will likely want to fight. Miesha Tate says she's only going to come back if she gets that third Ronda Rousey fight. Ronda Rousey has already defeated Miesha Tate twice. May look at Miesha and say, I'll beat her a third time. I'll get my $3 million, and I'll be back on a winning streak. When the vast majority of people right now are be like, nah, I don't know. I think Miesha Tate, retired or not, can beat Ronda Rousey. I will tune in to watch this fight if it gets put together.
I would tune in to watch the fight because, again, the bad blood, the history, the narrative, it's all there. But again, Miesha had, didn't want to be in the cage the last time she was there. Either did Ronda. Will the opportunity to fight a shell of the opponent that beats you twice motivate her? I think so, of course. Miesha Tate would have, of course, get motivated, and the potential money that goes along with it, because they're both former champions. It's just one of the biggest successes of Ronda was her ability to embrace chaos and find an opportunity to win. Obviously, Miesha's not a knockout artist, so there's opportunity to allow the chaos to happen. But you gotta think that, yeah, I could definitely side with Miesha in some regards, especially just how bad Ronda looked in the last one. But at the same time, that's not who Miesha is. She's not Amanda Nunes. Like, she's not that hard puncher. She's just
with that being said, I'm a firm believer. I'll take criticism again. I don't care. Miesha Tate lost the rematch with Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey may have won, but Miesha Tate lost that rematch because she had no business going in there and trying to take down Ronda Rousey when she was winning the stand-up battles. If she'd have just stood there and continued to strike, I think she would have won that fight. She chose to go for that takedown to surprise Ronda, and Ronda obviously took advantage of that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely something to be said about that. And then taking, but they're so removed. I think Miesha, there's a lot of what ifs. You can't even necessarily got to go with the person that's won twice. You don't know. You just don't know where her head's at. But do we do this whole? Yep. 2 losses is not a big deal. But it is when you came from, you were up here and then falling, the fall from grace, right? So there's a lot of what ifs, there's a lot of narratives, and that's what makes it interesting. What's going to happen. I'd watch it.
Guaranteed. We got some comments that came up on the live chat. For those that are wondering, yes, if you're on the YouTube channel, you are tuned in live. You can head on over to the right side of your screen. Hopefully it's there on your screen. And give us some comments or some suggestions or questions to yours truly or Elias Theodorou. Graham Williams basically said in regards to the rematch between King Mo and Rampage, maybe they're having the rematch to try and decide who will be B.A. Baracus if they make an A-Team sequel.
Yeah, possibly. Well, you got to go with
like
Rampage. It. Rampage just fits so much better, I think.
I think he did a fantastic job. Yeah, man.
Fantastic job. Yeah.
Did you like the A-Team movie? Because I loved it, man. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, good. It's good for what it's what you expected. It's an action movie and a remake of a 80s classic.
If someone, Graham, since it's your comment, and I know you're always hooking us up online via social media, go to IMDb and see if there's actually going to be a sequel. Because now you've got me intrigued. Because I will go watch the A-Team sequel if it's there. Another comment from Vinny Fernando. in regards to, come on, man, in regards to the actual Rampage versus King Mo 2 match, and how you and I were talking about how the first one wasn't exactly exciting. The second one, where it's a solid maybe that we may tune in. And the fact of the matter is, King Mo did say that he would hump Rampage's leg for 5 rounds, and he's already warned Rampage. Vinny Ferdinando said the WWE Hall of Fame show will be more entertaining than that fight. Now, my goodness, I don't mind the WWE Hall of Fame. I've tuned into a few of those, provided they have the right guests. But there's a sentiment that this fight is not going to be exciting, and no matter how much we talk about it, there are other things that may be more exciting, and the WWE Hall of Fame might just be.
Well, yeah, definitely not selling. But the benefit of being on free TV, 1 million people might watch it. A lot of maybes.
Very true. If people are going to ask me which one will I watch if I had the choice, yes, it'll be King Mo versus Rampage 2. Not because people could say whatever they want to that first fight wasn't exactly exciting. It wasn't. But you never know. You just never know with Rampage. And I saw King Mo literally 30 feet from me taking on Crow Cop in that fight at Ryzen, and I think he did a fantastic job, despite some of his people saying he made a tactical error, which cost him the fight. But King Mo, when he wants to put it on, he's going to put it on, and hopefully he realizes that this is an opportunity for him, again, to showcase that, you know what, you can make some money, and this is heavyweight. This is heavyweight, man. If you have a little run at heavyweight, a lot of different opportunities will open up, and King Mo is one of those few fighters that will be allowed to compete for Bellator and compete overseas in Japan. I'll be honest with you, he's one of the lucky few. A lot of guys aren't allowed to do that, even with Bellator.
Yep. So he's taking advantage of it, and he's getting more mat time. Again, tactical error with Crow Cop. This is a huge opportunity for him to, we have a Rampage who is on, in different interviews saying he wished he never got into mixed martial arts. He's talking about, I think Rampage in many ways, it depends on which Rampage shows up. Whereas King Mo, I think, is much more passionate about being a champion in Bellator.
You think King Mo's hungrier in this fight than Rampage is? Because I think he is.
Yeah, I think King Mo, for the most part, in general, is more hungry than Rampage in mixed martial arts. Because Rampage obviously has a mean appetite on him.
In general, yeah. It's a listen. I'm going to enjoy watching the fight. Don't get me wrong. I just hope that they do bring the action. Action is something we will see if Derek Lewis and Mark Hunt are scheduled to headline Ultimate Fight Night 110 June 10th in New Zealand. I am not I make no bones about it, and I'm sure I try and correct myself before I speak. I'm sure Derek Lewis is a super nice guy. I'm just not over the fact of what he said about Ronda Rousey after he defeated Travis Brown. You talk about B.A. Baracus, Mr. T, Clubber Lang in Rocky. That was a Rocky thing, or that was a Clubber Lang thing that he did to Rocky with Adrian. It's an old thing. A lot of us, off the record, we're like, you can't do that in real life, man. You don't go after a man's wife or a man's girl publicly on a mic like that, because you get yourself in trouble. So not to say I'm a big Derek Lewis fan. He might be the greatest guy ever, but there will be some action with Mark Hunt. And considering it's in New Zealand, I like Mark Hunt in this one, but I also like Derek Lewis to shock the world and be like, hey, you know what? I deserve not just a title shot, but someone in that top 3.
Yeah. No, well, I think this is a much better fight for Derek Lewis. Mark Hunt just got knocked out. He got knocked out. You can't, he's fighting very freaking quickly after being knocked out that way by Uberim. Well, no, he's Overeem. He's not Uberim. Definitely not Prisada. But what's it called? Definitely, I think it's a little early, but the guy is game. He's one of the most savage individuals in mixed martial arts. So I'm always going to watch Mark Hunt fight anyone. And especially when you put it against Derek Lewis, this is a great fight, nonetheless.
You mentioned you saw it. There is word out there. I think I was just trying to read some on the timeline that Scott Coker said that the Bellator the Bellator New York City card, the fighters will not be randomly tested apparently, or to the effect that they will simply follow the guidelines of the New York State Athletic Commission, which, in my opinion, is not good. It's 2017. There has to be different ways, especially considering, unfortunately, the history of the two gentlemen in the main event. You may want to randomly test these gentlemen to ensure that they are clean. I know the argument's out there that who cares if they both want to be juiced up? They both know they're both going to be juiced up. Let them go at it. Not good for the sport. And if it's just the New York State Athletic Commission, if they don't do random testing, then it's simply going to be a memory test. Because if you know you're going to be tested on a specific date in June, you could cycle off.
I prefer the idea of it's an IQ test.
IQ test, yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's unfortunate. But Bellator, or not Bellator, Vitor Belfort wanted a Champions League. Bellator could be a Champions League. All right, guys.
Vitor Bellator.
Vitor Bellator. Get that 50-year-old surfer looking like a young strapped TRT tour in it in just a couple of moments.
What would be your reaction?
A couple weeks.
If Vitor was to sign with Bellator and then competes in his first fight, and he looks like the old Vitor.
Yoked. Oh, Vitor. But all the power to him. If he's gonna fight the other guys that are on it, I'd rather be in the clean league.
Yes. We got 5 minutes to go left in the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you follow Elias Theodorou online at Elias Theodorou. Yours truly at Showdown Joe. And, of course, at Fightful MMA, FightfulMMA.com for all your mixed martial arts news. We do have a live chat. We'll continue to do it till the end of the show. Vinny Fernando asks, earlier you guys were talking about selling your personality and not letting your fighting sell you. I may be off base in making this assumption, but is that why Mighty Mouse doesn't get on pay-per-views anymore? The short answer is yes. The short answer is yes. He can arguably be the best pound-for-pound fighter right now. I think he is. He is the most, I guess, he's eye candy when you watch this guy fight. When you watch him just shadow box, when you watch him spar, he is mixed martial arts eye candy. But unfortunately, being a smaller fighter, and we live in a culture where bigger is better, the smaller fighters generally do not get the love. And Demetrius Johnson basically has stated before, I don't need to trash talk. I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to fight. And that's why he's on Fox. That's why he's on FS1 per se. Elias, your thoughts?
Yeah, and he's also a very reliable champion who's willing to step up. He's done the company a lot of favors in that regard. I agree. He's one of the top. I still think Jones. The only reason why Jones is not the GOAT is because Jones is the only person that can beat Jones. It's exactly right, and you see it with people booing with jiu-jitsu, people booing with cage control, collisions. We want to see car crashes, and that's what two Rock'em Sock'em robots at 500 pounds together will do with heavyweights or light heavyweights, even middleweights, even welterweights. Purpose, but I, as in some ways, a purist, but at the same time, the old mantra, if you can't beat them, join them. It's in many regards, that's what we have to do. We got to sell ourselves because that's, and people give me criticism where Sean was the first person that I've heard were called sports entertainment. I agree with it. That's the way it is, whether you like it or not. You got to sell yourself. So, yeah.
All right. Before we let you go, any words from the shark behind you? Have you heard anything from the shark at all?
Woo! In regards to the shark itself, no. Nothing said.
I love that painting, by the way. That painting's fantastic.
I know it's pretty legit. It's pretty legit. And I got a pillow that matches it. But no, what I was gonna say is nothing said in regards to fights, but looking like Brad. We're gonna basically find out the details and hopefully Vegas for that international fight week, like we talked about. Until then, I'm going back to Montreal. The best shape of my life as per usual. Every single fight's gonna be, every single fight is the most important fight, and this one definitely rings true because I have a lot of projects that are, not necessarily relying on the success of my next fight, but rather relies on the success of my next fight.
As a good Canadian,
I'm gonna get ready, do a lot of shit, and kick some ass.
As a good Canadian, and you're going to go to TriStar, you got to protect that cut that just had some stitches fall off. Are you going to wear a hockey helmet at TriStar?
No, it's pretty much almost done. I'm gonna do a lot of. I got till Saturday, but by Saturday it should be completely fine. I may wear some headgear of some kind. I'm gonna tape it up.
No. Forget boxing headgear. Legit hockey helmet.
Well, that's a little excessive.
That would be awesome.
It might hurt my training partner.
I'd piss off Ross so bad. That'd be amazing. Record it. Put it on Instagram. Come
on. Peer pressure. I might just do that, sir.
Listen, I want to make sure you take care of that cut. Hopefully everything's going to be fine. We cross our fingers for you. You can get back on the mats, get your training in. Hopefully we get this fight for you versus Brad Tavares on International Fight Week. Please let us know how everything goes. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you do follow him online, Elias Theodorou. His social media is freaking fantastic. The comments he makes on Twitter are hilarious. The pictures he posts and the comments he posts on Instagram are dubious, to say the least, because I can't sit there and ever not laugh. I want to comment, but I'm like, I'm not going to comment. This guy's an absolute disaster, and I love him for it. So make sure you follow him online. Follow yours truly at Showdown Joe. I am far more reserved. You will see all my business tweets. You'll see my personal tweets and Instagram pictures. I try and keep it kind of low key, but I have a good time when I do it. And of course, at Fightful MMA for all your mixed martial arts news, all the different stuff that the peeps over at the site will post. And of course, FightfulMMA.com. Don't forget tomorrow, Sean Pearson will be my guest, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have kids around, make sure the volume is down. Make sure the headphones are on and or earmuffs for the kids. We just don't know what he's going to say, and he's always going to be opinionated. We missed Elias. He had beers last time. I got to figure this out. Maybe get some beers in the budget for Elias. Send him the money. Go to the liquor store. Drink while you're doing the podcast. But as always, what's that? Options.
Options.
Me getting that money from Fightful to give to you for your booze is a solid maybe. Fair enough?
There you go. Just saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance. Brother, thank you very much. Thank you to all the viewers who tuned in live, to those that are tuning in on iTunes later on, and of course on Stitcher. We thank you as well. I will continue to do this live chat, moving forward on all the podcasts. We love your thoughts. We love your comments. Make it more interactive. We are going to have some fun moving forward with the Fightful MMA podcast. But for now, we bid you a fond adieu. And as I always say, thank you for tuning in. Ciao for now.